Hello, everybody. It's Bruce. It's March 7th, 2025. And I like to fly in real time and real weather. And it is currently 7:30 p.m. in Mooney, Illinois. And it allows me to fly in both day and night, instrument flights, obviously. And I'm out in the middle of the cornfields at the KIKK Kankakee, Illinois airport, and it's 7:30 p.m. in a simulator. It's like totally black. So I'm not going to show you anything out there until I get the plane started and get some lights on. Um, Having said that, the cockpit itself is totally black till I turn on the battery and the dome lights. Anyway, I have upgraded several months ago to prepared version 5.4 only to find out that none of my third party single and double engine planes were compatible. So I found the default plane in prepared. The Mooney Acclaim is a beautiful plane, and that's what I'm using to fly local flights around where I live. And this Mooney Acclaim, here's the specs. It's a model M20T Type S. Type S meaning it has the more powerful engine. And uh, you can see its cruise speed is 234 knots. I'm going to be flying a very short flight, so I'll try to fly around 170 knots so I don't have to think too hard or too quick. And the engine is 280 horsepower, three-bladed prop, maximum range 1400. Service ceiling is 25,000 feet. If I remember, when I'm in the cockpit and whether or not we can see it, there's actually oxygen controls on each door and next to each seat behind me. I think that's interesting. I don't know how any of that works. It's non-functional in a simulator. Fuel capacity 100 gallons. We will have full tanks. And what else do we need to know? It doesn't show it here, but another thing of interest is its climb rate. Its climb rate is like 1,400 feet per minute. And when I turn the autopilot on, it will set it up to climb at that rate. All right, here we go. It's going to get interesting. So we're going to uh, turn the fuel selector, let's see, to right tank. And, oh, I gotta try to find the battery. There it is. And then the other thing we need to do is get to the dome light. It's up here. I have to look real close to try to find this stuff. Here's the dome light. All right. So there is a really good checklist. I'm not going to use that for starting the engine. It even has the all the tests you need to do for the magneto and everything. I'm not gonna do all that because this is a simulator and there's no failures in the plane. So let's just get to what we need to get done. My parking brake is already on. We need the mixture full rich, the prop at high RPM, the throttle in about 1/4 of an inch, and then we essentially can start the engine. Let's do it. Alright, now we can turn on the alternator, avionics. We don't need the pitot heat until we're at the runway. Instrument lights. Why did it get darker with them on? What? Oh, that's weird. It's like it turns off the dome lights. What? Wait a minute. That ain't working. I'll leave that in this condition. Here's our... Believe it or not, it does have air brakes, speed brakes. I don't know if we can see them in the dark. Let's try it. Yeah, they're red and one on each wing. It pops up right here. Don't need them right now. The GPS nav switch is set to GPS. Our HSI is set to GPS. Let's go ahead and... Normally I wouldn't set strobe lights until we're ready for takeoff. But I'm going to turn on all these things so we can see what it looks like sitting here. And the taxi lights. There we go. Okay. What else? It's the temperature. This is real weather, by the way. And the temperature is 1 degree centigrade, which is 34 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't think engine icing is a problem with this engine. Is probably fuel injected, and I don't see... We'll put defrosters on, cabin heat. Don't need a vent, don't need air conditioning. Oh no, this is the alternate air. Normally that always stays off. Flaps. None of these are functional. Hey, while we're here, here's what the oxygen controls look like. That looks like it's lights. And then here's the oxygen. So it must be totally automatic. But you get to see the pressure, which doesn't look like there is any. Nice job, whoever designed this. Makes it look like I would die if I got above 12,000 feet or so. Alright, let's see, where are we at? Okay, so yeah, we can turn this on now. I will be using Reality XP GTN 750. Go ahead and turn it on. I'll discuss this in a minute. I'll be using this, so I won't be using this display at all or anything in these top rows. But here's our parameters for the engine. This is our manifold pressure in inches. I just put it at idle just now. Here's the prop RPM. We'll be setting it to max for takeoff in 2400 when we're cruising. Fuel quantity, both tanks are full. Fuel flow graph, oil, temperature, pressure, cylinder head temperature. It stays fairly hot, but I have no control of this. The engine, the plane does not have any cowl flaps. It's just automatic. And here's volts and amps. Here's rudder trim, which currently I should not be flying. The wind is 30 degrees at 13 knots. So that's getting up there. But we're gonna fly anyway. And elevator trim is all the way down here. I'm not gonna set it into this white area for takeoff until we're at the runway. Don't use any of these. And these are backup gauges. Don't use those. Non-functional. Here's how I turn on the air conditioning. I don't need it. And here's the autopilot, which is for this. And we'll probably put it up there during the flight, because one of the problems flying with track IR and the camera system I'm using, which I forgot what it is. It's EasyCam. EasyCam will shake the cockpit with the plane with turbulence, so it's pretty realistic, but it makes it extremely difficult to point at a knob and adjust it if the dashboard's moving around. So I may pause the plane, I hate to say it, when I'm moving controls, if and when the ATC gives me a command like heading. Anyway, back to where I was. So we're done looking at this. I don't use these. I don't use these. Here's where I adjust the, we don't need that. It'll do automatic tuning to the radios from the ATC just to make my life easier. And then here's where we adjust the heading bug. We'll set all that up in a minute. And here's where you adjust the altitude in thousands and hundreds. Hundreds be right here. While I'm here, normally when we set up a flight plan in FS HUD, which is what I'm using for the ATC, we'll go ahead and also put that here. Hey, what am I doing? I didn't want to do that. Wrong thing. Anyway, FS HUD is my ATC and flight plan, and here's the 750. I have to make those the same as far as the flight plan. I'll explain all that in a minute. So that's it for the knobs, other than setting up my altimeter, which tonight is at 30.04. So I'll set this so I don't forget. 30.04. Our runway elevation 640 feet, and just so you know, I did see a spec when I was using a very good PDF tutorial on how to use the GTN 750 with an ATC, and it just automatically said that when I'm coming in for my landing, I should turn off the autopilot.
Indianapolis Center, 89902, passing
We don't need a
7,174,000.
chatter just now. Let's mute COM 1. And I should turn off the autopilot at 250 feet above the runway elevation. I guess that would be 250 feet AGL. So that ends up being about 900 feet. So at 900 feet, I'll be coming out of autopilot. And I've flown this flight dozens of times, you know, making videos, and I always did at least one major error and trashed the video. But once I got comfortable with the GTN 750 and ATC, using those together, my big issue was coming out of autopilot on the landing, because there's 4 runways at this airport. If I show you the map, there we go. So here's the 4 runways: 4, 22, 16, and 34. There's always a crosswind, and with a 13-knot crosswind of some type, when I take it out of autopilot, I have no sensation of what's pushing my plane from any direction, so I have to immediately use my rudder pedals like at max to try to stay lined up with the runway, and that has caused me to take this flight dozens of times. I've never crashed, but my landings have not been pretty, like on the grass, halfway on the grass, stuff like that. So we'll see how this goes. All right, that's done with my major intro. So let's see what things look like outside the plane. And maybe temporarily turn this stuff off. There we go. So it is a beautiful plane. It's a little hard to see at the moment, but let's take a look around here. KIKK is about 20 to 30 minutes south of where I live in Mooney, Illinois. And whoa, the scenery for this airport, and by the way, we're in the middle of the cornfields. The scenery is not that great because I don't have a serious third-party scenery. We're out here in the middle of nowhere. It's just some basic scenery. You can see in my windsock, it's almost horizontal. Not good. What else can we see here? Alright. Let's get back to my plane. There we go. So, Control A, here we go. Different views of this plane. Well, you can see it pretty good in these views. Alright, now we're getting serious. What I need to do, let's go ahead and put my checklist out here and get to before taxi and their GTN 750 and FS HUD back out. Alright, now we're getting serious. Let me show you what my flight plan is going to be. What I want to do is I'm only going to fly either, it'll be an IFR flight, so it's either going to be an ILS approach back to runway 4, which is the only one that has ILS, and then all 4 have RNAV GPS. So when the ATC gives me an approach when I start heading back, if they try to give me a visual approach, I'm going to request an RNAV or ILS approach. But anyway, my flight plan will be heading northeast, and I'll probably use this VTAC, which is Piatone. I'll use that as my approach transition. I don't think that's an initial approach fix. It might be. We'll find out when we look at the chart. And I'm going to fly northwest, see if I can fly past C56. This is Mooney, Illinois, where I live. This airport has a single runway, east-west. Not much to see, but we'll see if we can see it. I'm going to fly up to 5X. Here's 5X. Right here. That'll be my first waypoint. But then when we're crossing a railroad tracks in the road, that's where I live. And we'll use Nabio. No, I'm going to use CM Sky as my second waypoint. And then my last direct to will be back to KIKK. So let's do it. Flight plan. FIPEX. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned this or not. The ATC, if I don't designate anything, they'll try to give me an altitude of 10,000 feet. But I want to fly low to the ground, so we're going to make it 3,000. And we can set it up in the GTN 750 right here. My first waypoint will be, backspace, 3,000 feet. I found if it gets really bad weather and a low ceiling at 4,000 feet, some of my flights were in the clouds, so I'll set it at 3,000. Save. Okay, second waypoint, CM Sky. Easy to remember. Third waypoint, KIKK. Since I don't know what approach I'm using, I'm not going to try to put one in right now, because I'm using it in ATC. Alright, we're done with that. Let's leave that on. Now, I need to set up a flight plan in FS HUD. Well, let's get this thing going. And by the way, FS HUD does inject AI traffic. Because we're out in the middle of nowhere, it usually only has sometimes one twin-engine cargo plane or something on the tarmac, or that same plane may be landing or taking off. We'll see. But anyway, let's get this thing going. Select a flight, new flight plan. And here's the syntax for this. First we use KIKK. And I gotta pick a runway initially, but the ATC is gonna give me what it wants anyway. And by the way, this ATC will actually be Chicago Center. And the reason you're hearing gonna hear a lot of chatter is it's controlling a lot of other airports. And having said that, you might notice my frame rate is close to 70 because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, but if I was at like KDCA, where I like to have flight plans because I have third-party scenery there, its frame rate would be like 20, which is like the minimum you want to be able to fly in the sim. Anyway, so with my wind direction at 30 degrees, I'd say 34, runway 34 would be, no, that's not right. 30 degrees is almost north. So we want runway 4, which is 40 degrees. And then we're going to put in syntax right here with an upper caret, flight level 040, and a space. And this is going to tell it we want to fly at a flight level of 4. Oh man, I wanted it to be 3,000. I'm used to doing this at 4,000. Okay, space bar. Now we're going to do a direct to first waypoint. Direct to space FIPEX space second direct to space CM sky, another space. Then we do need some sort of approach for FSHUD to make it happy, so we're just gonna select an approach into ILS runway 4. Let's look at the chart. Approach is runway 4. So you can see it doesn't show Eon. It does show Pontiac PNT as initial approach fix, so we could use that. That's what we use to make the flight plan happy. So let's see how that works. Direct to space PNT space, and then we're gonna do /F to automatically find a route, a flight plan, and then we're going to do KIKK to runway 4, and it went ahead and completed the flight plan. So after the direct to PNT, there's a direct to Seaway, and you can see here's PNT. When we get to here, we'll be going to Seaway, and then you can see it went ahead and set up the ILS to KIKK runway 4. And like I said, the ATC may try to give me a totally different approach, especially if the wind direction changed. So we're going to start this flight. now I'm gonna turn up COM 1. And when I request a flight plan, you'll hear my plane first.
Chicago Center. Bravo Papa 49 request clearance to Greater KIKK. We are at Greater KIKK Airport.
Bravo Papa 49er, cleared to Greater Kankakee. Runway 04. Fly runway heading climb and maintain 3000. Squawk 0155.
Clear to Greater Kankakee. Runway 04. Fly runway heading climb and maintain 3000. Squawk 0155. Bravo Papa 49er.
Bravo Papa 49er, readback is correct. Contact after departure.
So we don't need to talk to him again until after
Contact
departure.
after departure. Bravo Papa 49er.
And it'll set this transponder up
West 2240.
like right
maintain
now
5000.
for the squawk they gave us,
Maintain
0155.
5000. Southwest 2240.
It did
Southwest
keep the
371.
runway
Fly
for
heading
takeoff,
070.
runway 4, and it knows to climb
Fly heading
to
070.
3,000 feet.
Southwest 371.
Alright, we're looking good.
Southwest 2240. Cleared hills transition.
And you can see I've been talking to the Chicago Center.
Cleared
I've got
hills transition.
COM 2
Southwest
muted.
2240.
It's not on the right.
American Pacific 128.
There is no way to get
050.
in ADAs at this small airport. At least it's not listed in FS HUD. So
Southwest 371. Proceed direct Gaga.
we could
Direct Gaga.
we could pick Chicago O'Hare, although that's not very close to us.
Southwest
Let's
2240.
see.
Contact Chicago. Approach 128.2.
DuPage might be closer. We'll pick that one.
128.2. Southwest 2240.
So we should get
American Pacific 128. Continue descent
Here we go.
2300.
information wind
Continue
15
descent 2300.
at
American
25
Pacific
knots.
128.
Whoa!
9021. Fly heading 295.
Anyway, I don't
Ready
know if
descent
that applies to
2500.
us.
Fly heading 295. When ready descend
Let's see. We
2500.
need to change this
921.
to something else.
Southwest 371.
Just pick
Fly heading 055.
O'Hare clearance. Okay,
Fly heading
let's mute this a
055.
little bit
Southwest
until we're ready to take off. So, this is all completed. Request taxi. We don't really communicate with them because they're not interested in me until after departure. And we're done here, so let's go to the map. And one last thing. You can see here in the background I am using real weather, FS Global Real Weather. It's using the weather station at Kankakee. Oh, let's see, it's 40 degrees, 8 to 18 knots. It's getting crazier. Alright. I'm gonna need, well, it's in the same direction as the runway, so I don't need rudder trim. That's good. Okay. Now, we're ready for the checklist before taxi.